In the early days of the 21st century, the Umbrella Corporation was born, rising as a technological giant in America, focusing on developing advanced solutions for the health and medical technology sectors. Behind its public innovations, however, lay a vast and obscure universe of illegal operations. The bulk of its revenue came from the clandestine development of military technologies, genetic experiments, and the creation of biological weapons, which included viruses with lethal potential. It is no wonder that the company's security was extraordinary, with a state-of-the-art artificial intelligence system and underground facilities to keep its activities hidden from the outside world. At a critical moment, a skilled spy managed to infiltrate one of Umbrella's most secure laboratories. There, he got his hands on a secret biological weapon, stored in a cylinder containing two distinct liquids. One blue, the dreaded T-virus, and the other green, the antidote for it. Audaciously, the spy accidentally broke the cylinder, releasing the virus, which began to spread through the air via the ventilation system. The incident went unnoticed until the company's security alarm sounded, a siren that triggered the automatic lockdown of all doors and isolated all areas, including the elevators. Initially, it seemed like the situation was under control. However, chaos ensued when the fire alarm was mistakenly activated, flooding one of the rooms with water, while in another area, a mysterious and lethal gas began to leak, causing those present to lose consciousness. At the center of this confusion was Alice, who found herself waking up in a bathroom, completely naked and with no memories of her identity or past. In her hands was a curious note. "Today, all your dreams came true." Intrigued and confused, Alice explored the area and found a sealed package containing various weapons and unknown codes. Elsewhere in the complex, a wedding photo showed her standing beside a man she couldn't recognize. As Alice tried to make sense of her situation, she was interrupted by the sound of a helicopter flying overhead. Still trying to grasp what was happening, she was suddenly approached by a man who was quickly subdued by a squad of armed soldiers. The man, named Matt, insisted that he was an active-duty police officer. On the other hand, James, the commander of the squad, told Alice that she too was part of the group. But due to her amnesia, Alice could not remember any of them. Later, it was revealed that Alice had been affected by the facility's automatic defense system, which had temporarily erased her memories. The military was on a mission of extreme importance and took Alice and Matt to an ultra-secret area called the Hive, a massive underground facility located right below the mansion where Alice had been. The group boarded an underground train owned by the Umbrella Corporation to reach their destination. During the journey, they encountered an unconscious man. It was Spence Parks, the same man from Alice's wedding photo, wearing a ring identical to hers. Curious, Alice wanted to know more about what had happened and what exactly their mission was. James explained that they were all part of a special Umbrella team responsible for guarding the entrance to the Hive, which was located right beneath the houses they lived in. It was soon revealed that Alice's marriage and the large mansion where she lived were nothing more than a cover to conceal the Hive, a center for advanced biological research run by Umbrella, located deep beneath Raccoon City. The secrecy was so crucial that, if anything went wrong, the security system would automatically release a gas capable of inducing unconsciousness and temporarily erasing memories, which had happened to both Alice and Spence. The facility's security was managed by an advanced AI system called the Red Queen. However, the Red Queen had complications. Its security measures were so strict that it could become dangerous and lethal to anyone it perceived as a threat during a crisis. The group's mission was to deactivate the Red Queen in a corridor that had recently been flooded. They were shocked to find a floating corpse in the water, but what they didn't realize was that the body was being reanimated. Ignoring the imminent danger, they continued into a room known as the experimental lab, filled with bizarre equipment and specimens. Captain James instructed JD and Rain to secure the escape route, while the rest of the team advanced on the mission. While examining one of the strange devices, Alice came face to face with a creature that appeared to be the product of genetic engineering. Finally, the group reached the chamber where the Red Queen was located. At this critical point, Kaplan initially managed to bypass the AI security system, clearing the way for JD and 3 soldiers to attempt to shut it down. However, in a twist, the Red Queen reactivated its defenses, sealing the entrance to the room and activating a deadly laser beam that annihilated James and his squad, making it clear that the system had allowed the initial breach only as part of a lethal trap. Despite the devastating losses, the remaining team had to continue with the plan to deactivate the Red Queen once and for all. Upon reaching the central chamber, they set up a specific device to neutralize the system. However, shortly after starting the process, a hologram of the Red Queen materialized, warning them of catastrophic consequences if they proceeded, saying that disabling her security would release unimaginable dangers. Ignoring the warnings, Kaplan deactivated the system. Immediately, several previously sealed doors opened. In another location, Rain was investigating a suspicious noise when she encountered a woman who suddenly bit her hand. Rain fired, only to realize that the woman, now a zombie, had been reanimated by the T-virus. Meanwhile, Alice and Kaplan reunited with the other members of the team, but were soon ambushed by a horde of zombies. The fight was fierce and chaotic, resulting in the accidental explosion of one of the containers due to uncontrolled gunfire. JD, in an effort to find an escape route, managed to open a door, but it was too late. The room was infested with zombies that quickly captured him and turned him into one of their victims. With little time to mourn, the group dispersed, trying to escape the growing number of undead. Unknown to them, an experimental mutant creature had escaped its confinement during the chaos. As Rain and Kaplan hurried back to the Red Queen's chamber, Alice faced an unexpected challenge. A zombie dog attacked her by surprise. Barely escaping, she found refuge in another room, only to be ambushed by another zombie. Luckily, she managed to take it down using the weapon she had collected from the previous zombie. Preparing for the worst, Alice armed herself. But as she stepped out, she discovered the zombie dog had returned, this time accompanied by a pack, advancing to attack her without hesitation. After a hard-fought battle with the zombie dogs, Alice finally reunited with Matt, saving him from a female zombie he identified as Lisa. Matt revealed that both he and Lisa were undercover detectives investigating the suspicious operations of the Umbrella Corporation. At that moment, Alice had a brief flash of memory, recognizing Lisa as her ally in the investigations against the company's illicit activities. They quickly rejoined the rest of the group, which was facing a critical situation with the zombies growing increasingly aggressive. Rain informed them that they had less than an hour to escape before the only viable exit, a heavy steel door under the mansion, would be sealed forever. Alice decided to reactivate the Red Queen. Once online, the artificial intelligence clarified that Umbrella had developed the T-virus, capable of reanimating the dead, keeping their basic bodily functions active under viral control, driven by the instinctive need to feed on fresh flesh. The Red Queen detailed that the virus was intended for the military market at an exorbitant price, but an accident caused its release through the ventilation ducts, infecting everyone present in the hive. To prevent a global catastrophe, the Red Queen opted for an extreme measure, eliminating all the infected within the facility, justifying its actions as a necessary evil to prevent the virus from spreading. Following the Red Queen's directions, the team moved through a corridor but soon faced another zombie attack. To escape, they climbed onto a pipe that ran above the hallway, avoiding direct contact with the enraged horde. One by one, they crossed to the other side, but when Kaplan tried to pass, the pipe gave way under his weight. He fell among the zombies and was bitten, but in a desperate effort, he managed to climb back up the pipe and rejoin the group, despite being gravely injured. Despite the despair and the possibility of becoming one of the infected, Kaplan refused to give in to hopelessness. Encouraging his companions to move on without him, he prepared for the worst, with only one bullet left in his gun. However, in a burst of hope, he decided to fight for his life and ran to catch up with the group. Meanwhile, Alice began to reconnect fragments of her memory, crucially remembering the existence of an antidote, the green liquid. However, she discovered that the antidote had disappeared, stolen by unknown hands. At that same moment, Spence's memory also began to restore, revealing a shocking detail. He was the one responsible for releasing the T-virus, planning to sell the pathogen and antidote for a fortune on the black market. Spence's plan, however, had been interrupted by the gas that wiped his memory, causing the chaos that now surrounded them. Spence tried to access the virus and the antidote stored in the train's briefcase, where he had been found unconscious. However, as he attempted to carry out his plan, a zombie bit him. Panicked and trying to avoid infection, Spence locked his companions away and tried to inject himself with the antidote, but before he could, a mutant creature known as a licker brutally attacked him, ending his life. Alice, watching the horrifying scene through a security camera, realized how dire the situation was. Meanwhile, Rain, who had been bitten earlier, was starting to lose control over her body and mind, showing clear signs of infection. In a moment of clarity, she begged Alice to eliminate her before she became a real threat to the group. Alice, however, couldn't fulfill her friend's request. At this critical moment, Kaplan, overcoming the pain and fear of his own infection, managed to reach the group and freed them from the locked room. They quickly found the antidote, and just as Spence was beginning to transform into a zombie, Alice, without hesitation, used an axe to stop him before he could cause more destruction. With the antidote finally in hand, they rushed to the train and administered doses to Rain and Kaplan, hopeful they could reverse the infection. However, just when they began to believe they were safe, the licker abruptly reappeared, attacking Matt with its sharp claws, once again putting everyone's safety in jeopardy. Despite Matt resisting the initial attack, Kaplan eventually succumbed to the violent assault by the licker. When the creature turned its attention to Alice, she was quickly ensnared by the monster's long tongue. Thinking quickly, Matt used pipes hanging from the train's ceiling to repeatedly strike the licker until it was weakened and eventually defeated. They realized that Rain had already completely transformed into a zombie. The antidote had come too late to reverse the infection's progress, forcing Alice and Matt to make the difficult decision to eliminate her. As they continued their escape, the threat of the licker still loomed over them like a deadly shadow. In a final and desperate confrontation, Alice and Matt managed to defeat the monster once and for all by cutting off the creature's tongue with one of the pipes, ensuring that it was truly dead. Exhausted but still alive, they made it back to the surface, reaching Alice's house. However, the relief was short-lived. They were immediately approached by a group of health professionals in protective suits, who promptly detained them. Amid the chaos, Alice lost consciousness. At the same time, Matt began showing troubling signs of infection. A worm-like creature emerged from the wound he had suffered during the fight with the licker, indicating a severe infection. When Alice woke up, the scene that unfolded before her eyes was apocalyptic. The city was deserted, enveloped in an eerie silence, with evidence of destruction everywhere. It was unclear exactly what had caused such widespread devastation, but it was evident that the horror they had faced in the hive was only a prelude to something much more catastrophic. Observing the chaos, Alice realized that the global situation was uncertain and potentially even worse than the initial outbreak. With the empty streets, the film comes to an end, leaving a sense of suspense in the air and suggesting that the fight for survival was far from over. If you liked this movie, I recommend watching this other one here as well. I guarantee you'll enjoy it. See you there.